big news.
I'm listening. What do you got?
Critics and parents agree. Paw Patrol, the mighty movie, is hilarious, action-packed, and fun for the whole family.
How do you like me now? That's what I'm talking about.
Paw Patrol, the mighty movie, rated PG, now streaming on Paramount+.
Hey, this is Gomez from the Sleevie G Show. You're listening to Brian Colburn on My Weekly Mixtape. So at the end of this episode, please vote for me to win this episode.
Gomez.
What?
This isn't Playlist Wars. We're working collaboratively on this episode, so there is no voting.
Oh,
Welcome to My Weekly Mixtape, a podcast that takes the classic mixtape approach to building a modern playlist. I'm your host, Brian Colburn. Joining me for tonight's collaboration is Alex Gomez, and if that sounds strangely familiar to you, he's also known as Just Gomez from Playlist Wars, and now the Sleevie G Show. Gomez, welcome to My Weekly Mixtape.
what's up, Brian? How you doing, man? Long time no see, as we did first episode 1 on the Sleevie G Show.
Yeah, been a long time. Even though we talk every single day, it's been a long time since we've been in a podcast discussion
Yes.
for our shows.
It's always good to see you, and it's really awesome to be back on your show finally.
Well, I'm excited to have you. It's bright and early on a Sunday morning. The birds are outside chirping. Most people that listen to this show are still asleep right now. And I'm going to start off this episode the way I start off each episode, meaning there is no get out of jail free card for you, Gomez. What does the word mixtape mean to you?
Man, reminds me of sitting home and remembering listening to the radio, hitting record at that time when the song comes out. And it's your favorite song that you want to keep hearing over and over again. I remember I had the big speaker system, with the stereo, with the 5-disc CD changer, and, just listening to the music of back in the day, even trying to get the TV volume up so you can record, bring the speaker near the TV so you can record that one song live. That's my memories, and from DJs at that time too, you know what I mean? When underground mixtapes were being made and all that great stuff too. And then making my own, when I hear something on Z100 or at that time K-Rock, and before it became KTU, all that good stuff. So, it brings back a lot of cool memories.
Well, tonight's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm taking a page out of the old Playlist Wars notebook here because I, for one, happen to know through 80-something episodes of Playlist Wars that you happen to be a fan of movies or something along those lines.
Yes.
So what better way to kick off a series of movie-themed My Weekly Mixtape episodes than to dive into what I think might be your personal favorite movies category, and that is the songs that are featured on 80s movie soundtracks. And this decade, like the 90s, was part of what I feel was the peak of soundtracks, because once you work your way into 2000s, soundtracks became less of an event and more of just a compilation of songs. But in the 80s and 90s, the movie companies and labels worked really hard to make the soundtrack as big as an event as the movie itself. So I've got a ridiculous bank of songs ready to go for tonight. And specifically, I gave myself one rule. There are no rules on this show, but I like to kind of confine myself when I'm pulling together my list. So my rules for tonight are the song, for the most part, I'll put that little asterisk right there.
Okay.
For the most part, the songs need to have been created specifically for the soundtrack or came out on the soundtrack prior to the band using the song on their official album. Now, Gomez, I know you're a big 80s movie buff, so I'm sure you spent an inordinate amount of time coming up with your list. What were you looking for in the songs that you brought to the table?
So the songs I was looking for is the ones that remind me in the movie, of course, you know what I mean? Where they used it and how they used it. But let me tell you something. It was very difficult to choose. I could have had 900 songs written down from almost every 80s movie probably put out, almost. There's some movies I didn't like. There was so many great songs in every movie I loved, you know what I mean? So a lot of the 80s passion for me was my childhood. it was just very difficult. But I resided with movies that I do love. You're trying to nail down a certain amount of songs. And like I said, I could have done 100 songs easily, but I kind of contained to like 25 somehow.
And now we're going to whittle it down together to 10 each.
Yes.
So let's get down to business. Tonight, as I mentioned earlier, Gomez and I will be creating the ultimate 1980s movie soundtrack songs mixtape, and we'll use the old cassette deck approach, meaning our mixtape will be broken up into two sides, side A and side B. Gomez, as the special guest, will begin side A with his first song choice, and then I'll add a song that I feel best follows up his choice. We'll then flip-flop choosing songs until we've mapped out 10 songs for side A. We'll then give our mixtape a proverbial flip, and we'll map out side B, only this time I'll kick things off with Gomez choosing second. Our overall goal for tonight's episode is to craft the best 80s movie soundtrack mixtape possible through only 20 songs. At the end of the show, you could take our conversation to the next level by visiting the 80s soundtrack songs page at myweeklymixtape.com to give our final mixtape a listen via the embedded playlist. And finally, if you like what you're hearing on the show, please consider becoming a Patreon mixtaper at patreon.com/myweeklymixtape. And speaking of those Patreon mixtapers, a few have chimed in with some of the songs they would kick off their 80s soundtrack mixtape with, starting with Cactus Pete, who chimed in with his all-time favorite, The Power of Love, from Back to the Future by Huey Lewis and the News, with a close second to Get Out of My Dreams, Get Into My Car, from License to Drive. Yeah, by the one and only Billy Ocean.
I couldn't resist. I was up early this morning and it was on, so it was kind of funny you mentioned that.
And he says, we almost have to say Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me from The Breakfast Club, because that might be the ultimate one. Also, Patreon mixtaper Ben from the Too Vague podcast chimed in with Wang Chung's Wait from the To Live and Die in LA soundtrack. Elsewhere on the socials, those who follow me at My Weekly Mixtape on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok also chimed in, and here's what they had to say. Philip Bergman chimed in with Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone from Top Gun. Jim Santora chimed in with Kenny Loggins' I'm All Right from Caddyshack. Jason Whistle from the It's Not That Bad and There Can Only Be One podcasts, as well as our friends at the Nostalgia Test podcast, both chimed in with Robert Tepper, No Easy Way Out from Rocky IV. Kuya Ozzy chimed in with Stan Bush's The Touch from Transformers the Movie. The Music Rewind podcast chimed in with El DeBarge's Who's Johnny from Short Circuit. The 80s Movie Soundtrack podcast chimed in with Flesh for Lulu's I Go Crazy from Some Kind of Wonderful. The So Wizard podcast chimed in with Kenny Loggins, again, Meet Me Halfway from Over the Top. Rob Jones chimed in with John Parr's St. Elmo's Fire, Man in Motion from St. Elmo's Fire. Gnarly Thotep chimed in with Eve, The Walls Come Down for Rock and Roll from Armed and Dangerous. There's a deep cut.
That is a deep cut.
Tony R., R.L. Lewis, and Jeff Scoble all chimed in with Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me from The Breakfast Club. The Music List podcast chimed in with anything from The Big Chill. Hutch chimed in with Dawkins' Dream Warriors from Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Matt Kennedy from the X Radio X podcast chimed in with Plastic Bertrand's Kaplan pour moi from National Lampoon's Vacation, with me adding my sincere apologies if I butchered the pronunciation on that last one. Tazi44 chimed in with the Blues Brothers Soul Man from Blues Brothers. Ken, a.k.a. Mr. Gentleman, and Ryan Pack from the Soundtrack Your Life podcast both chimed in with Prince's Let's Go Crazy from Purple Rain. L.I. Sports Fan chimed in with the Jesus and Mary Chain's The Hardest Walk from Some Kind of Wonderful. Amy Borchin chimed in with Cyndi Lauper's The Goonies Are Good Enough from The Goonies. The Dr. Matt FM chimed in with Huey Lewis and the News' Back in Time, and both Chris Darling and Sean Faust both chimed in with Huey Lewis and the News, The Power of Love, with both of those songs coming from Back to the Future. Now, Gomez, you said you had 100 songs. I think I just rattled off 100 there.
And you'd actually named some of it that's on my list already.
All right. Well, with that amazing list of 80s soundtrack songs out in the atmosphere, let's officially press the record button on this mixtape, and I'll start by throwing it over to you. Gomez, what Kenny Loggins song are you starting tonight's 80s movie soundtrack mixtape with?
I am actually not.
And why?
I am not starting with Kenny Loggins this first.
What?
Yes, he's in the mix. Don't get me wrong. He's in the mix somewhere.
Remember, once an artist or movie is pulled, that's
I
it.
know,
They're off the
But
table.
the one I would start off with, one of my favorite songs from the 1986 Transformers movie, the cartoon, and it was already mentioned. I'm going with Stan Bush, The Touch. I love that scene of the movie. Once Optimus Prime sees Megatron, he goes, "One shall stand and one shall fall." And he transforms and you hear the song. And, and then towards the end of the movie, if anybody's not seen it, sorry, but I'm going to spoil it.
Oh, you're doing spoilers on the show?
Yeah.
These poor people.
It's from 1986. They must have seen this movie by now. But even when Hot Rod turns into Rodimus Prime, and you hear that song and he's telling Galvatron that this is the end of the road, which was like that one-liner in the movie. So that's how I'm starting this little mixtape up with us. It's definitely Stan Bush, The Touch, 1986 Transformers, man.
Absolutely love it. Easily on my list. Kuya Ozzy chimed in with that one. I have sound waves all over the studio where I record here. Of course, that is in my list. But Gomez, you're giving me the Kenny Loggins lob. You have lobbed me Kenny Loggins on an 80s movie. Like, this is like, I don't even have to swing at this one. I'm obviously taking the bait and pulling a Kenny Loggins song. Now, here's the problem. Okay. I have 5 Kenny Loggins songs on my list.
I think I got 2.
I have Danger Zone from 86's Top Gun, Footloose from 84's Footloose, I'm All Right from 1980's Caddyshack, Nobody's Fool from 1988's Caddyshack 2, and Meet Me Halfway from 1987's Over the Top. Now, Meet Me Halfway, I'm going to pull right out of the mix. As much as I love the song, we're only track 2 into a mixtape, and it's too soon to hit the ballot.
Yeah.
It's way too soon. It would be a vibe killer. It would ruin the mixtape. But I love the song. I'm All Right's a little too breezy and happy coming out of Stan Bush's The Touch. So I'm going to take that out of play.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm down to Danger Zone, Footloose, and Nobody's Fool. Believe it or not, my favorite song in the mix is Nobody's Fool. But I'm not going to put that in here because that is not really a massively popular song. You and I talked about this song on the It's Not That Bad podcast with Jason Whistle when we did the Caddyshack 2 episode. I love the movie. I love the song. But man, this is like whittling down just Kenny Loggins here. Like you could do a Kenny Loggins 80s soundtrack mixtape alone.
Yeah, because he's got way too many.
Now, coming out of The Touch, I've got Danger Zone and Footloose. And the only song that seems to, like, they both work, but I think I got to give the edge to Danger Zone, The Need for Speed, 1986's Top Gun. Coming out of The Touch, I feel like we're setting the energy level at a 10, and I feel like Footloose is a little too dancey to come out of The Touch. We want to keep the pedal to the metal, and we want to go with Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone. But I'm glad that I got a chance to at least chime in on all of the Loggins that you gave me in the, what I am now calling the Loggins lob.
Yeah, I know, right? The Loggins lob. Don't worry, there might be another Kenny Loggins somewhere in these 10 songs.
He's off the table.
Oh, that's true. He is done.
And now Top Gun is off the table. So your pick of Berlin's Take My Breath Away has floated
Actually,
away.
that didn't make my list, but Kenny Loggins
didn't make mine either.
But Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone did make mine, which we're off. And then Meet Me Halfway. But you're right, it's too early for a ballad. We're going from The Touch to Danger Zone. Yeah, that just went well for that one.
Yeah, honestly, I think the earliest that you could drop a power ballad on a mixtape is track 3 or 4. You need to get the energy level up. And if you're putting a power ballad that early in a mixtape, it's got to be one that's so perfect for that tape that it needs to be there. Unless, of course, you're doing an all power ballads mixtape, which is the only time you could start track 1 or 2 with a power ballad.
Exactly. I agree with you 100% on that one.
All right. Well, now I am tossing it back to you. We've got a pretty top-notch mixtape started here. What are you going to follow up The Touch in Danger Zone with?
So I'm going to go take it back to one of my other favorite movies. And no, it is not another Kenny Loggins song, but this particular artist was in the same movie with the Kenny Loggins. And no, it's not Top Gun. I'm going to go back to Over the Top. Okay. Sammy Hagar's Winner Takes It All.
Yes.
Okay. Because we're getting that vibe. The first 3 songs, we're going mano y mano. How's that? I'll do Spanish here. I love this song. I remember hearing it for the first time in this movie, Winner Takes It All. It was just one of those songs that I don't know what it was about it. It just, hearing the song during the arm wrestling matches, it just fit that movie perfectly at that time. You just seen, of course, one of my favorite actors, Sylvester Stallone at that time. You know what I mean? He did his Rockies. He did this. He's done a bunch of great 80s movies too. And just seeing him in this was just ridiculously awesome. And I thought he did the character. Oh my God, what the hell is his name?
Lincoln
Hawk. I couldn't think of his name. Holy shit. Lincoln Hawk.
It's early on a Sunday. I'll let it
Thank
slide.
you. I remember Bull Hurley because he had the cutoff shirt like I do. So maybe that's probably why. I love the whole movie, but that song stood out to me always in the movie.
The only thing about that movie that I feel like didn't stand the test of time, and I know it works in the 80s,
Right.
but the whole turning, like the switch that happens when he turns the hat around. I mean, you've got yours already in arm wrestling mode.
I always do
right
that.
now.
I always have it in the front. Before I do a show, I switch it over.
You turn the
I
switch
turn the
and then you're
switch.
ready to arm
But,
wrestle.
you know, as he does it, I do the switch.
That's actually my favorite Sammy Hagar song over I Can't Drive 55. I love this song, easily on my list. And I'm glad you did that because I was definitely going to pick that tonight. But now following that up, we are at, again, high energy.
Yep.
The Touch, Danger Zone, Winner Takes It All. I think I'm going to stay with a movie that I know I am taking from you, and I apologize in advance.
We're lucky we're on the Zoom here, man, because this would have been mano y mano. I'm like,
Well, this is different for us. Usually we're working against each other and we can have crossovers on
Yeah.
Playlist Wars. Here we're working together, which we did a couple of times when we did tag team episodes
exactly.
on Playlist Wars. So this is kind of the process that you and I went through for that. Like the episode we did on Weekend Anthems with J&K from the F My Work Life podcast. This is how you and I kind of put the mix together.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're doing it now in real time. And the movie I'm going to steal from you, and as soon as I say the movie, you're going to know exactly what song I'm talking about. But I actually had a couple of songs from this soundtrack on my list. And I'm going to go with 1987's The Lost Boys.
Yep.
And I think you know exactly what song, energy-wise, I'm going here with Lou Gramm from Foreigner, Lost in the Shadows. Keeping that energy level up. I had Gerard McMahon, Cry Little Sister on my list. And I just, again, that's dragging the energy down right now. And I want to keep it exciting and fun and keep it just amped up to 10. So coming out of The Touch, Danger Zone, and Winner Takes It All, Lost in the Shadows just fits so perfectly.
It does. That's actually a great pick. Was it on my list? Yes. But I actually went with Cry Little Sister because I went with the popular one. But that's a really good pick, though. I like that.
All right. Throwing it back to you.
So the next song, we're in this cool power vibe, but you know what? Gotta bring it back to the future, 1985. I'm going to put Huey Lewis and the News, The Power of Love.
All right.
You know what I mean? It's just that song when you hear him, when he's skateboarding and the song's on, you know what I mean? It just makes sense. And then when he tries to jam that song in the auditorium and you see, he's like, you're just too damn long. No, you're done. And it's Huey Lewis right there. You know what I mean? Telling him you can't do it. No. Having him actually play a couple songs in the movie Back to the Future. Back in Time is another one towards the end of the movie, but this was hard in the movie in the beginning, which I thought was a great fit so far what we're doing here on this side A.
It's absolutely a fantastic pick. Obviously in my list, so was Back in Time. It was just a matter of when. There's certain songs I feel like will make this mixtape tonight no matter how we spin it, and that is definitely one of them. Come on. When you talk about iconic soundtrack songs, I think the first two that might come to people's mind, and again, I'm generalizing here, but for the most part, we had a lot of chime-ins for two specific songs, and that was The Power of Love by Huey Lewis and the News from Back to the Future, and Don't You Forget About Me by Simple Minds from The Breakfast Club, which we haven't gotten to yet, and we're not going to get there yet because I'm not picking that song yet.
Same here. So we're on the same page. We're on the same wavelength here.
Yeah, well, this next one I think is going to work really well because I feel by track 6, we need a montage. And I'm going to go with Side A's perfect montage song, Robert Tepper, No Easy Way Out from Rocky IV. Now, mind you, there are other Rocky movies. So there is a gray area here. If you have other Rocky songs you like, you just have to make sure it was on that soundtrack. So I'm just putting that out in the universe. But to me, No Easy Way Out. I go back to the days at St. Mary's High School when we were practicing and working out. And this song was always on Coach Parcells' workout mixtape. I love this track. I love the montage in the movie. Rocky IV is the Rocky that was pretty much made for our generation.
Yes.
The Rocky 1, 2, and 3 were my parents' movies, but I felt like Rocky 4 was the one where it was aimed at us, the kids that were getting older. And that movie, to me, was the Rocky movie.
It still is the Rocky movie.
It's the one that everybody kind of holds up. Some of the parts, obviously dated with the 80s, vibe and stuff. And I have to say, not that we're a movie podcast here, but Rocky Balboa is right up there with it. I think that movie was absolutely fantastic, but it wasn't done in the 80s.
No, it was done much later in the years, after Rocky V.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
No,
let's not talk about Bruno or Rocky V.
Yeah. But it was kind of funny that you wanted to do a montage. I actually had one of my favorites from Rocky IV soundtrack. Now, you're right. Taking it back to St. Mary's, my year too, during weightlifting and day before games, we had the Rocky Greatest Hits soundtrack. You know what I mean? So the one that put me in a zone before a game was War / Fanfare.
Nice.
That training montage, you know what I mean? Hearing that. And that was by Vic DiCola on Rocky IV.
Yes. Yeah, Vince DiCola also did some great stuff for the Transformers, the movie.
Yes, he did. So, I mean, either way, no matter what song you pick, and Robert Tepper was on my list too, actually. No matter what you picked from there, it was one of those great movies, great soundtrack, great everything about that movie. It was at the time in the 80s where U.S. and Russia were battling. So they made the right movie at the right time for our generation.
Definitely.
Great pick, dude. Oh my God, I feel like we're back in Playlist Wars.
Yeah. Well, I'm now throwing it back to you, and we've got a fantastic side A being built right here. So what do you have for track 7?
So now that we're talking little montage, okay, I'm actually going to kick it back to the 1987 movie, Less Than Zero, with the Bangles' Hazy Shade of Winter.
Yes.
It's just flowing in nicely with this mix that we're doing here.
Yes.
Great movie, let me tell you. Robert Downey Jr. in a really weird role. I'm not even going to give that up because if no one's seen this movie, I highly recommend watching it. These guys did a great job. And then this song they were playing in the movie, where he's driving I'm going to say it was a 65 Corvette convertible with Jamie Gertz, and, they're trying to make out and trying to find, Robert Downey Jr. It was like one of the best scenes, but such a great song, great movie too.
Absolutely love the Less Than Zero soundtrack. Another example of a soundtrack that I love and adore to a movie I've never seen. I have several songs from this soundtrack on my list. I had the Bangles' Hazy Shade of Winter. I was actually holding that one to possibly close out this side. But you put it early, that's totally fine. I had Aerosmith's Rockin' Pneumonia and the Boogie Woogie Flute cover. I had Poison's cover of Kiss's Rock and Roll All Night. And I knew it wouldn't make the list because there was not much that could go into it, but Slayer's cover of Inagata Davida by Iron Butterfly was also on there. Just an all-around fantastic soundtrack with a ton of cover songs, and you know my love for cover songs. But coming out of the Bangles,
it's hard.
That one rocks.
Yeah.
And I want to keep that energy going. And I was scrolling back and forth through the songs. All right. I think I'm going to go back to 1983.
Okay.
This one doesn't rock like Hazy Shade of Winter, but to me, it's one of the premier 1980s soundtrack songs. And it's because it's built around when I say the name of the song, you're immediately going to say the name of the movie. But this was actually a fictitious band. And the song is On the Dark Side.
Oh, yes, yes.
So immediately you're thinking, oh, that's by Eddie and the Cruisers. No, it's by John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band, who were also on my Rocky IV list for today for Hearts on Fire.
Yes.
But I am representing them because I put Robert Teppert's No Easy Way Out. I have to represent
Eddie and the Cruisers.
Eddie and the Cruisers soundtrack, because that soundtrack is amazing.
Even the second one was amazing too. Like, I like both.
Oh, Running Through the Fire? Love it.
That's
Love
such a great song. And that was on my list too. You just can't not put on this list Eddie and the Cruisers, man. You really can't.
I actually had thought about also closing side A with Season in Hell, Fired Sweet. But that's a little bit of a downer song.
Yeah.
Fantastic tune. And then I also thought if we did ballads, Tender Years could fit really well in here. But where we're going on side A, On the Dark Side's the only song that works.
Yes. That I agree with you, man. That's just a kick-ass song. It just fit the movie well, too, On the Dark Side. It just had that rebel Eddie look. You know what I mean? If you ever seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Love both movies. And I'll say it, I love both movies. I love part 2.
So did I.
In all of its cheese. There is more cheese in that movie layered on it. You sometimes have to like take a lactate pill before watching it because there's so much cheese in the movie.
On.
But I love it regardless.
In the beginning of the movie, he's in Canada. The guy commits a suicide in New Jersey off the Raritan Bridge, which was 2 feet high only from the river compared to what it is now. And then you find him in part 2 in Canada, and where's Eddie now? Is Eddie dead? And he's got his little porn stash.
That's all it took for the whole world to not recognize him was a mustache. The greatest disguise ever. I'm sorry if Gomez, if you shaved your goatee, which I know you'll never do, but you just left a mustache, I still think I'd recognize you. I'm just putting it out there in the universe.
I think you would, but if I shaved it all off, you might not.
Maybe not. But I don't know if you were a world famous singer with hit songs like Eddie and the Cruisers had in the movie, maybe somebody might have pointed out, dude, you bear a striking resemblance.
Especially in Canada. I guess his popularity didn't reach the Canadian tubes.
Maybe not. We'll have to ask Jason Whistle about the Eddie and the Cruisers lure up in Canada.
Yeah, we definitely have to go and ask him about that one.
All right, you've got one song left for side A. What are you going with?
All right, so I got a lot to choose from for side A, especially like how we're going here. You know what? I'm going to go back to 1984. Beverly Hills Cop 1, Eddie Murphy. I'm going to go with Glenn Frey. The Heat Is On. It's literally right in the beginning of the movie, is when he's in a truck full of cigarettes and he's from Buffalo. Let's just say that line right there. You know what I mean? It was just a perfect fit for the movie because they're chasing the truck full of cigarettes and destroying half of Detroit, which the guy, who knows what kind of jail time he was doing for that. Smashed up every single car he hit. Fruits flying everywhere when he hit the fruit truck. It was just a lot of fun. It's a great song, great movie. Glenn Frey, The Heat Is On, Beverly Hills Cop, 1984. You can't go wrong.
You certainly can't go wrong. I love that pick. I love that movie. That was prime Eddie Murphy. And I know they're doing a new one, but recently the track record on sequels that are long after the original, the newer Dumb and Dumberer, whatever the hell it was called, Coming to America 2, they just didn't hit the right way. It just felt forced.
So, no, but I'm thinking this one might because, first of all, he wrote it, I think. Eddie Murphy wrote this one. Beverly Hills Cop 3 was boom.
Good soundtrack.
Good soundtrack, yes. But 1 and 2 were better than 3.
Oh, yeah.
So I think this fourth one, with Judge Reinhold coming back as Billy Rosewood, the guy who plays John Taggart, is coming back. There's a couple other people. There's more into this one. I think the way that it's being directed and being made, I think this might be one of those movies that will kind of forget the third one like Rocky Balboa did for Rocky V.
Okay. Well, now I have the tough task of trying to close out this amazing side.
Yeah, you do. Sorry.
And I think I'm going to break my rule that I talked about earlier. I said I had one song in here that has an asterisk on it.
Okay.
And the reason this song has an asterisk on it is because the movie never had an official soundtrack that was released on any format. The song was released in February of 1986, and the movie was released in August of that year. I'm pulling the exception to my soundtrack list rule because A, no soundtrack exists, and B, because I can.
I love that.
This is a song that when I say the band's name, you're immediately going to raise an eyebrow. And that band is Honeymoon Suite.
You're right, I am raising an eyebrow.
Okay. And the song's name is What Does It Take? And again, the look on your face is perplexed. But
I'm trying to think of the movie.
1986, One Crazy Summer.
Oh my God. How did I forget that?
End of the movie, Uncle Frank wins
Yes.
the radio contest.
Yes.
And he pulls the phone plug out of the wall and proceeds to take a bazooka and blow up the radio station. And as the Stork brothers are running to the exploding radio station with their marshmallows, if I could grow wings, I could do anything. That is Honeymoon Suite.
That
What
was
does it take?
such a great song. And that was a perfect ending to that movie, too. Oh my God. There were so many great songs.
It is a deep cut. It is a strange way to end the side.
No.
But anybody who's as big as a One Crazy Summer fan as I am understands that's a great closing song.
Oh,
To me, that's one of those songs that if you're a fan of One Crazy Summer, you know the exact scene I'm talking about. You know the lyrics to the song. You just don't know what song that is. And that is hopefully a lot of people out there that are going, oh my God, I could listen to that on Spotify?
Yeah.
Yes. Honeymoon Suite, What Does It Take? One Crazy Summer, closing out side A.
Oh my God. I totally forgot about that song. And you know what's funny? I was watching the movie 2 weeks ago when it was still slow at work.
We showed it to the girls recently, and it holds
It
up. It's
still
still
does.
just as funny.
It still holds up. I just love the scene where he finds the money in the bathroom when he meets Demi Moore for the first time, and the guy with that purple spiked hair, and they go for the car chase, and he thought he could make the boat. And he was like, get me out of here. He's got fishful of hair. I love that movie. There's so many great lines in that movie, too.
Oh, the kids love the, oh no, not the chili, not the chili.
Yes. Oh, come on, man. Have a heart. And he's just waving the chicken at him.
Well, there you have it, folks. Side A of our 80s movie soundtrack songs playlist. Kicking things off with Stan Bush, The Touch from Transformers the movie. Kenny Loggins, Danger Zone from Top Gun. Sammy Hagar, Winner Takes It All from Over the Top. Lou Gramm, Lost in the Shadows from Lost Boys. Huey Lewis in the News, The Power of Love from Back to the Future. Robert Tepper, No Easy Way Out from Rocky IV. The Bangles, Hazy Shade of Winter from Less Than Zero. John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band, On the Dark Side from Eddie and the Cruisers. Glenn Frey, The Heat Is On from Beverly Hills Cop. And Honeymoon Suite, What Does It Take? From One Crazy Summer. Head over to myweeklymixtape.com to hear all the songs we've discussed in this mix through the playlist embedded on the episode page. Now, Gomez, I know we're still only at the halfway point, but I'm just going to go ahead and put this out there in the universe. I think we're well underway of creating a mixtape that's better than any of our 80s movie playlists from the Playlist Wars episode.
I think
this one is pure fire so far.
I mean, you start off with Stan Bush, you go to Kenny Loggins, Sammy Hagar. You know, I'm looking at the list right now, and that side A is a kick-ass side A. Now, what's funny is, notice we didn't put one thing in there. A ballad.
Well, Honeymoon Suite is slightly slower. It's mid-tempo. We've got all of side B, though.
Yeah, that's true. Side B should be very interesting because I still got so many songs to list here. I can't wait.
Well, before we start side B, Gomez, why don't you tell listeners a little bit about your new podcast, The Sleevie G Show?
So, Sleevie G Show, it's a fun-loving show. It's jam-packed with a lot of things. First episode, of course, was my partner in crime here, Brian. And then right now I'm up to episode 10. So I hit the double digits. You know, it's been very honoring and humbling for some of the special guests that I've had. I had a 2-time Emmy winner, Christina Barron, Cara DeFalco with Cara's Cucina on YouTube. She's the only one that I know that has an Emmy nod on YouTube. I had Don Smith on. I'm going to have a couple other special guests. I had Mike Cam from Greens from the Garden State podcast. It's been going so awesome. Like, everyone's like, wow, it's not an interview. It's a legit conversation talking about anything really. Restaurants. We're talking about video games. We're talking about movies, some sports we got going on, entertainment news. It's a little bit of everything that I love. I'm actually blogging too on sleeviegpodcast.com. I've also been blogging some of my personal work. I'll be releasing new material every week or every 2 weeks on the blog and on the on the podcast. Try to do every week. I do have a new show almost every week. I got some interesting people coming on. One thing I've learned so far on my own is the thinking you have to put towards the show, which I didn't realize until I did Sleevie G. As you were more of the creative thinker when we did Playlist Wars, you had all these ideas. I chimed in with some ideas, but you had the creative thinking. Now I have to do the creative thinking, which is a different thing for me. And luckily, as you helped me along the way, grooming me into a better podcaster from episode 1 to episode wherever we ended on the hiatus until now, I feel like I've grown more comfortable being who I am and to really speak more freely in my show. And I think it's been really a great thing because when we go back to Playlist Wars, it'll be like, boom, we're back at it. Like, here we are today. We're back at it. We're having fun. So sleeviegpodcast.com. Also on Twitter at sleevieg_79. Instagram is sleevieg. Find me on YouTube, Sleevie G Show, Facebook under Ando Gomez. So it's been a pleasure. And, and I got to thank you and everybody who's been helping me along the way. Oh, can't forget DT, man. Space Castle for the logo.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. The show is great. Anyone who's listened to Playlist Wars knows that Gomez likes a lot more than music, and this is a chance for him in the Playlist Wars extended universe, if you will, the way you and I lovingly refer to my weekly mixtape and the Sleevie G Show. If you enjoy what Gomez does on Playlist Wars, he's taking that to the next level on the Sleevie G Show because the constraints of Playlist Wars doesn't kind of permit the free-flowing conversation that you have on that show. And I'm glad you're able to do that and kind of branch out and do other things so that way when Playlist Wars comes back from hiatus, we can kind of dive back into what we're known to do there, but we still have these respective outlets as well.
And on top of it, I got to record my own show tonight.
Oh, see, there you go. So you're just warming your voice up for tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
With today's. All right, so we're going to start off side B now, and I get to kick things off.
Mm-hmm.
And kicking off side B, I'm going to go with one of the first soundtracks that I had growing up as a kid, and a song that, to me, is one of the pinnacles of 80s soundtracks. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even going to say the name of the song. I'm just going to say, Dearly Beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life. And I am going off of 1984's Purple Rain, and I am going with Prince, Let's Go Crazy. A lot of people chimed in with stuff from this. I could have easily went with When Doves Cry. I could have closed side A with the title track, Purple Rain, but Let's Go Crazy is a perfect side starter.
And I was about to jump in and you say, hey, Sing 2 did that already. You can't use that. That was later in the years.
Yeah, this one to me, I mean, it's everything I love about Prince. It's the flamboyant, bombastic nature that he is. It's the energy of the opening of the song. It's that ridiculous guitar solo at the end. It is everything you love about Prince in one song. It's funky, it's rocking, it's upbeat, and it's guitar pyrotechnics. It's everything I love about Prince in one song. Kicking off side B with Prince, Let's Go Crazy from Purple Rain.
Dude, that's a great pick. I would have probably went with When Doves Cry because that song, personally, I just love the beat to that song and everything about it. But Let's Go Crazy is another great song. But when you have two kids and you hear it and sing 2 a lot, it starts to drive you a little crazy. Especially when your one kid likes Johnny a lot and all you do is all the songs of Johnny, and that song has to play full length.
Yes. So coming out of that,
man, ooh, this is a hard one, but I think I got a good one. I'm gonna have to go with. It was in 2 great 80s movies. Well, maybe one wasn't as great as the other. One was Short Circuit, and the other movie was Footloose. So I got a 2-for-1 deal on this song.
Okay.
Bonnie Tyler, Holding Out for a Hero. I'll tell you, this song has a good resonation for me on this. Just love the song, you know what I mean? It's just one of those, you hear the harmonies, and when you're thinking Footloose, you're thinking of the tractor chicken race with Kevin Bacon. Come on. That's an ultimate thing. And then you see Johnny Five trying to survive, and you're hearing the song as he's holding on a pickup truck, hearing the song when he's trying to not kill, but hurt the bad guys from stealing the diamonds. So I got a 2-for-1 movie on this one, but more resonated with Footloose because probably some people have never liked Short Circuit. But yeah, Bonnie Tyler holding out for a hero from the Footloose soundtrack.
And Short Circuit. So you got a 2-for-1 there.
Yeah.
I like what you're doing there. I had Who's Johnny on my list from Short Circuit. So you're actually killing off 2 movies here with Footloose as well, which is fine.
It happens.
It happens. That's a great song. And I think I know where I'm going to follow that up.
All right,
with.
I'm ready for it. Let's go.
And it's a cover song.
Ooh. Of course it is.
Yeah. It was originally recorded in 1984 by Frankie and the Knockouts for their album Making the Point. Nobody knew about it. And I'm saying nobody because I didn't even know this was a cover song until I looked it up.
Okay, neither did
And
I.
I know my cover
Yeah,
song. So I learned this fact as I was researching this song. I'm going to go to 1987's Dirty Dancing. All right. And I'm going to go with Eric Carmen from the Raspberries, Hungry Eyes.
Yes.
I love the song. It's pure 80s. I get it. It's Dirty Dancing. I know most people are going to say, why aren't you going with I've Had the Time of My Life? Because Hungry Eyes, in my opinion, is a better song. And coming out of Bonnie Tyler, I feel like it actually works.
Yeah, it does.
I feel like it works in this mix here.
And you know what? That's a great soundtrack. Yes. Why didn't we pick the others? The most popular one out of Dirty Dancing. It's simple. It's our soundtrack here. No. But there's other great songs. To be honest with you, you're going to laugh at me when I said I actually had a soundtrack from Dirty Dancing. But I went with Patrick Swayze's She's Like the Wind.
Okay.
I actually like the way he sings that song.
He had a good voice.
You gotta remember this. Some of these 80s actors, Don Johnson, Patrick Swayze, Bruce Willis, actually.
Bruce Willis had a whole album.
He did. These guys actually had good singing voices. I'll even say David Hasselhoff. He's bigger in Germany than he is in the U.S. But these guys had really good, not just acting voices or acting. They were actually legit singers. Matter of fact, Tom Cruise even has a decent voice. We all heard it in Rock of Ages. I mean, granted, not the greatest movie, but we did hear him actually belt out some lyrics in that movie. So that's a great pick, dude.
All right. So you now have to follow up Let's Go Crazy, Holding Out for a Hero, and Hungry Eyes.
So now you gave me a little, now more wiggle room on this next song. And it is the 1989 John Cusack movie, Say Anything. And I'm going to go with Peter Gabriel's In Your Eyes. It's just a fantastic song. First of all, I would be that guy with the damn boombox on my head trying to get the girl outside my, well, at that time was a Mercury Tracer, getting to serenade the girl to come out and say hi to me, you know what I mean? But it didn't work in the 90s. I guess it was an 80 thing. Damn you, John Cusack. The song, first of all, Peter Gabriel, talented singer. The song In Your Eyes is just perfect. It's not, I don't know if I would call it a huge power ballad. I call it a ballad, but I don't know if it's a power ballad. But it's just got something in that song. The way he sings the song, the way the instruments play, it's just perfect. So I think it just goes well how we're swinging here. Peter Gabriel, In Your Eyes from the Say Anything soundtrack.
Love the song. Love the movie. It's an iconic scene from the 80s. It's one of the most memorable scenes when he's holding the boombox up over his head. And I'm going to follow up your pick.
Okay.
With the song that I think was on John Cusack's tape next.
Okay.
After In Your Eyes played on his boombox.
I'm all right.
No. I think that if he let the tape continue playing, the opening to Holiday Road by Lindsey Buckingham would have been next on the mix. And just because I could not think of a better way to shoehorn this song in, but I love this song when it comes to 80s soundtracks. The song only has 23 words in it, for Christ's sake. And did you know that Harold Ramis asked Lindsey Buckingham to record this song?
Really?
And he said, make it fun, make it goofy. And Lindsey Buckingham triggered the sounds of the dog barking at the end of the song, having not seen the movie.
No way.
So he had no idea about the dog scene. But it was like when Harold Ramis heard it, he's like, that's perfect. He had no idea. And he put that in the song. I love the song. It's upbeat. It's happy.
It is.
The Aquabats do a fantastic cover of it if you like ska punk. I know coming out of In Your Eyes, it's a total left turn, but
Oh, no.
I just thought it was a funny thought. Like, wow, what would be the next song on that cassette for John Cusack? And if Holiday Road started playing, Say Anything would have ended a whole different way.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Oh,
So now how are you going to follow that up?
I'm going to follow up with a fun movie. We're going to do a treasure hunt, and you're wearing the shirt. We're going to put in Cyndi Lauper's Goonies Are Good Enough. 1985, The Goonies. I'm going to tell you, you can't say anything wrong with Cyndi Lauper because she came out with such a great song. And it's in the beginning of the movie where Mikey's mom and Rosalita are coming in and Brandon is all tied up and they're all running away to go find this treasure. You know, One Eye Willie, that's a bad name, but One Eye Willie. And hence joke now, everybody out who's listening to this. And it was just a clever song for the soundtrack too. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you right now, it was a misleading song to open the movie because you think you're getting this family comedy, whatever you want to call it, your friend's comedy. Yeah. And it really opened up with this really light 80s kids comedy. Mm-hmm. And then it got to the adventure part of it. And it really became the movie that we all fell in love with. And I think that opening was kind of a perfect way to start the movie because it gives you this illusion of who they are before this adventure.
Yes.
And I love the song. I love the pick. Yeah, the Goonies are good enough, damn it.
Yes, they are.
So here we are at track 7. And on side A at track 6, I did my montage. I feel like side B needs a montage as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go back to 1984. And I'm going to montage the hell out of this side with Joe Esposito, You're the Best, from the Karate Kid soundtrack. Because when you do a montage, you need to do it right. And there were no better montages in the 1980s than Robert Tepper's No Easy Way Out and Joe Esposito's You're the Best from the Karate Kid. Come on. You think about, I mean, Cobra Kai is as massive as it is now because of all of our age group loving this movie so much.
No.
And I know I'm stealing a song from you because I know it's from the Karate Kid too. I'm guessing.
Well, you know what? I didn't pick anything from the Karate Kid.
You went with part 2.
No, I did not. I didn't pick anything.
You didn't?
I didn't pick anything from Karate Kid, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Why? Because we're going to be doing movie montage. I don't think it's better than Joe Esposito, but it's up there when it comes to memorable movies. But we'll get to that when I explain. I love your pick, first of all. The song is awesome. You see him, Ralph Macchio, Daniel LaRusso, kicking everyone's butt, you know, in Cobra Kai. And, you know, you get to the final step, you know what I mean? And to the championship. So that's a great pick. It teetered in my list, but I didn't pick it.
I mean, look, he beat Lamar from Revenge of the Nerds. You underestimate that Lamar went on to somehow go back in time and do karate after Revenge of the Nerds in college.
True,
so,
you know,
I mean,
especially with his throwing style, you know, the
yes, you know, but he turned it into being a karate tournament, and he could have beat Daniel LaRusso. Imagine if the movie ended that way and Lamar beat him, and the movie just ended.
No,
how would that have been?
That would have been bad. That just no.
And another thing I love about this song, it always followed up No Easy Way Out on Coach Purcell's workout tape. So, Gomez, you have 2 songs left. I have 1 song left. What are you following up You're the Best with?
All right. So I thought long and hard now when we're talking about this. We're talking movie montage. I'm going to throw another one up in there for you. And it's one of my personal favorites. And when I mean personal, I pretty much imitated my childhood off this movie. It is the 1986 blockbuster Matthew Broderick movie, Ferris Bueller's Days Off. And the song is The Flower Pot Men, Beat City. It's when he steals the Ferrari, when he takes the Ferrari and you hear the song. Something about this song and the guitar play, it just works so well. I highly recommend it. I love that movie to death. And in the song, when they're saying room, 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 but you hear the engine roaring, that's actually the song, not the car. So it was kind of cool to hear it. So Flower Pot Man, Beach City is just another great montage of them driving the car.
I'll only respond to that by using another song from the Ferris Bueller soundtrack, and I'll just say, "Oh yeah."
This movie, I mean, I love this movie though. I really imitated my childhood a little bit off this movie.
Oh, who didn't? I mean, come on. Whenever you wanted to call out, who had a keyboard that had all the coughing noises? Like, I used to have the one where you could record your voice, and I never got it to sound as good as Matthew Broderick's did. His was much better. Mine was a smaller hand-sized keyboard. He had the full with the disc drive in it, so he got the full. If I tried to do that in the 80s and push the phone button, mine would have been like, and I would have never gotten out of school. So
no, you would have definitely sound like Cartman from South Park, though.
Yes. All right. Well, we are down to one song each. And I am going to close my night with a cover song that is extremely special to me. It's from one of my favorite movies. And it is the song that my wife and I came into being announced as husband and wife for the first time ever. And everybody in our wedding party all had black hats and sunglasses on. And then when Katie and I came down, we had our black hats and sunglasses on. And that would be 1980s Blues Brothers and the song Everybody Needs Somebody to Love. To me, you can't talk about a 1980s soundtrack episode without bringing up the Blues Brothers. One of the best. I could have picked anything from this soundtrack. Aretha Franklin's Think.
Yep.
Even though she had recorded it earlier, the version from the movie I like
it was the best.
Ray Charles, Shake Your Tail Feather. Perfect. I could have did the theme from Rawhide, for Christ's sakes, but no, I am going with Everybody Needs Somebody to Love.
Somebody to love. Sorry.
Sweet on a Miss. I have to go to that one. This song just means so much to me, and it's the Blues Brothers, so of course.
I actually, if I was doing the Blues Brothers, I actually Shake a Tail Feather with Ray Charles, which I love that scene.
Oh, it's a great one. It's awesome. Awesome.
Also, Minnie the Moocher.
There's not a bad song on that soundtrack.
It's hit after hit after hit on that one. So great pick, great movie. You know, especially the scene for Rawhide. Let's give them something they really like. Rawhide. They're all cheering.
Play it again. Now, Gomez, you had the tough job of starting things off.
Yes.
And you did it in epic fashion with Stan Bush, The Touch, to kick off side A. We have been playing Chicken with a Train this whole episode.
I know.
And there's one song left.
Yep.
You're either going to make a lot of people very, very happy or very, very upset with this pick. What song are you closing the night out with?
All right, so this was a really tough choice, but I'm going to have to go with No, I'm only kidding. I'm going to... No, I definitely, the song that we all know and love, and it's from the greatest movie, one of John Hughes' greatest movies. He's got a lot of great hits, Ferris Bueller, you know, all these great movies he has, but I'm going to go with his best one, The Breakfast Club, Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me. This is the best way, I think, to end this awesome soundtrack that we just did. I mean, this is probably the best work we've done together collaborating. I would tell you, if this is a mixtape I'm listening to now, I'll be very damn proud of it.
I'll tell you right now, and I love Chris to death, but I think the mix we came up with tonight tops all three Playlist Wars 80s soundtrack episodes. I feel like this is the perfect spectrum of what the 80s had to offer with music. I had two songs from The Breakfast Club in my list. I had Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me, but I also had Wang Chung's Fire in the Twilight, and I was damn near tempted on side A to put that in there.
Would have been good.
But I knew the amount of hate mail you and I would both get for removing Don't You Forget About Me from the equation.
I think
would have been too much to handle. The email servers could not have handled it.
No. And messages and Instagram and Twitter and YouTube, it would have been bad. It would have been really bad.
It would have. Now, Gomez, normally at this point, I say, why don't you tell people where you could find your show? But we did Playlist Wars for a long time, so I'm throwing a curveball in here. And there's a little bit of extra space at the end of the side B. So we're each going to get to pick one bonus song.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
Because I feel like the 80s soundtracks, there's a lot. Now, these songs I'll put at the end of the playlist. They're not official songs.
But they're bonuses for us.
But they're bonuses. A little bit of the hidden track at the end of a CD, if you will. And we each get to pick one. Gomez, what song are you going to do?
This one I will go with Mannequin, the soundtrack. Jefferson Starch said Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now. It's something every time I watch this with my wife, we both sing this song, even though we're not the greatest singers, but it's just fun. It just, it's one of those songs that, like how you had with your wife, the Blues Brothers, it's meaningful. So it's really meaningful to me every time we hear this song.
All right. And I am going to give my bonus song. I'm going to go back to 1984. And there's actually a cassette of me singing this song in 1984 in Hershey Park at one of the karaoke booths. And I was, I think, 7 and in 2nd grade. And it was one of my favorite movies of all time. It's still one of my favorite movies of all time. And it's a little song by Ray Parker Jr. And it's the theme from Ghostbusters. That is my bonus song.
Can't go wrong.
Little honorable mention, if you will.
Yes, that's a great pick too.
All right. And side B officially for our 80s mixtape kicked off with Prince, Let's Go Crazy from Purple Rain, Bonnie Tyler, Holding Out for a Hero from Short Circuit and Footloose, Eric Carmen, Hungry Eyes from Dirty Dancing, Peter Gabriel, In Your Eyes from Say Anything, Lindsey Buckingham, Holiday Road from Vacation, Cyndi Lauper, The Goonies Are Good Enough from The Goonies, Joe Esposito, You're the Best from The Karate Kid, The Flower Pot Men, Beat City from Ferris Bueller, The Blues Brothers, Everybody Needs Somebody to Love from the movie The Blues Brothers, and Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me from The Breakfast Club. Make sure to head over to myweeklymixtape.com to hear all the songs we've discussed in this mix through the embedded playlist, as well as the 2 bonus songs, Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now by Starship from Mannequin, and Ray Parker Jr., Ghostbusters from Ghostbusters. Gomez, why don't you remind people where they can find the Sleevie G Show before we close up shop for the evening?
So it's pretty easy. You can find me at sleeviegpodcast.com. Hook up to my link tree there, or you could find me at Twitter on sleevieg_79. You can find me on Instagram, SleevieG or Alex Gomez. And you can find me on Facebook under Ando Gomez. Also, check me out on YouTube, SleevieG too. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. I'm getting some awesome subscribers and great feedback. And also check out Brian too on YouTube on My Weekly Mixtape. Hit that subscribe button for both of us. Leave us some comments, leave some 5 stars for both of us, because we always appreciate everyone leaving us the feedback.
All right. Well, Gomez, this has been an absolute blast. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to do it again very, very soon.
Can't wait, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Remember, mixtapers, you can find My Weekly Mixtape on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at My Weekly Mixtape. You can also head to myweeklymixtape.com to check out the full catalog of My Weekly Mixtape episodes. If you want to support the show, please consider becoming a Patreon mixtaper at patreon.com/My Weekly Mixtape. That's all for this week. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, enjoy the tunes.
Hey folks, Stefan Shirazi and Renee Richardson here from the Metallica Report.
And we are proud members of the Pantheon podcast family, where the best of music and podcasts unite.
We've got something pretty cool for you. We're giving away an exclusive Metallica merch package worth over $250.
That's a whole lot of Scary Guys, skulls, M72, and other sought-after Metallica swag. And we've made it easy for you to win. Follow and share the Metallica Report, and you're in the game. Go to pantheonpodcast.com/Metallica, enter your email, and hit that button to be entered to win.
And just like that, you're eligible for our monthly exclusive Metallica merch package.
And guess what, rockers? You can enter every month, so just do it. And while we love our global brothers and sisters, the lawyers won't let us ship outside the U.S.